We're going to turn our attention, our thoughts towards the subject of Brother Ben's exhortation, Bullies, and he's asked that we read together from Proverbs 29. Proverbs 29. He who is often reproved yet stiffens his neck will suddenly be broken beyond healing. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people groan. He who loves wisdom makes his father glad. But a companion of prostitutes squanders his wealth. By justice a king builds up the land, but he who exacts gifts tears it down. A man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. An evil man is ensnared in his transgression, but a righteous man sings and rejoices. A righteous man knows the rights of the poor. A wicked man does not understand such knowledge. Scoffers set a city aflame, but the wise turn away wrath. If a wise man has an argument with a fool, the fool only rages and laughs, and there is no quiet. Bloodthirsty men hate one who is blameless and seek the life of the upright. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. If a ruler listens to falsehood, all his officials will be wicked. The poor man and the oppressor meet together. The Lord gives light to the eyes of both. If a king faithfully judges the poor, his throne will be established forever. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself brings shame to his mother. When the wicked increase, transgression increases, but the righteous will look upon their downfall. Discipline your son, and he will give you rest. He will give delight to your heart. Where there is no prophetic vision, the people cast off restraint, but blessed is he who keeps the law. By mere words, a servant is not disciplined, for though he understands, he will not respond. Do you see a man who is hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than for him. Whoever pampers his servant from childhood will in the end find him his heir. A man of wrath stirs up strife, and one given to anger causes much transgression. One's pride will bring him low, but he who is lowly in spirit will obtain honor. The partner of a thief hates his own life. He hears the curse but discloses nothing. The fear of man lays a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is safe. Many seek the face of a ruler, but it is from the Lord that a man gets justice. An unjust man is an abomination to the righteous, but one whose way is straight is an abomination to the wicked. We'll turn our attention to Brother Benjamin and his exhortation on bullies.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm not going to ask any of the kids if they've ever been bullied or picked on, but I want them to think about it. And so let me get a show of hands from the adults, anybody over 18, of anybody that has ever either been picked on or bullied, or you have had a friend who's been picked on and bullied, and you've just had to stand by and watch it happen. All right. Now, to the kids, there may be some of the adults that threw their hand up that maybe you didn't think would ever have had to deal with bullying, and that maybe it's just something that you're dealing with. So, on the flip side, has anyone ever been the bully? You don't necessarily have to throw your hand up. It's okay. Maybe your response to being picked on by somebody else was to take it out on someone else. bullying is about status. There are some people who pick on others to keep a certain status, so they're already at the top of their rung. And they'll make light of or take advantage of others' vulnerabilities to ensure that their own vulnerabilities are not exposed. So it's about staying on top. They might be a good athlete. They might have more money, which allows them to buy better clothes or have a better car or whatever. And typically they'll be able to surround themselves with more people when they have this status. Maybe they're smarter, they get better grades. They're typically confident in what status they do have. So it's sort of hard to take advantage of their vulnerabilities. You can't really see it because they're masking it by taking advantage of other people. And not that these people are the people that they surround themselves with, not that they're friends necessarily, or that they even like the bully, but it's easier to be on their side than to be in their sights as a possible victim. So then there's also bullies of a lower status. They're not necessarily at the bottom of their status class, but they're definitely not at the top. And they may not have the looks or the smarts or the money or confidence in themselves. So these are the people that will put others down to have any status at all. So as you've probably been taught, they will put others down to bring themselves up, and that's something that we always learn as a kid, and maybe you teach your own kids that. I don't know. They might have self-esteem or aggression issues. These are the same people that make a big deal out of somebody looking at them. What you looking at? Somebody looked at them wrong, and they just want to make a big deal out of it. And typically, you will see the self-esteem issues come out as aggression on their part, whereas the higher status bullying will be more manipulative. They're able to manipulate other people into focusing their attention on this one person. In some form or fashion, we all have to deal with bullying of some sort. I remember several instances growing up of being picked on, and especially witnessing the torment of other children. It doesn't stop when you become an adult either. I still see it going on today. There was one boy in my science class in 8th grade who sat right behind me, and every time the teacher would turn around to write something on the chalkboard, he'd throw a little balled up piece of paper and hit me in the head. Relatively harmless, but at the time there was a fury that was building up inside me. And there was really nothing you could do. In 5th grade, there was a boy that used to sit next to me, and again, when the teacher would turn her back, he would either flick me or just nudge me, just trying to get a rise out of me so that he could make a big deal out of it. He was one of these ones that wanted to try to push you into reacting, so that he would be vindicated. When you react, he can react to you, and it just keeps escalating. I never considered myself a social outcast or the wimpy kid or somebody who dresses funny, even though you look back at pictures, and a case. And I even remember cases where some of the popular kids were targeted because the middle kids wanted to try to bring them down to bring themselves up. And it got violent, honestly. So I just sort of wanted to show everyone here that to some capacity we all have to deal with it. These are people who want to cause us physical, emotional, or spiritual harm. That being said, each of us have to prepare ourselves to deal with these problems. But essential to that preparation is how we view ourselves and how we value ourselves. And that might be hard if you're always the one being picked on or you're being put down by others. Because typically we get our value, we see ourselves how other people portray that they see us. Maybe you're being put down at home, maybe at school or work or even at a church gathering. I've seen that going on as well. So let's see what the Bible says about who we are. Psalm 139, 13 through 14 says, For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. If you've ever knitted or seen anybody knit, the fact that David here describes himself as being knit together in his mother's womb, there's a lot of care that goes into this and a lot of thought. Each of us is so valuable in God's eyes that you may not even know how it feels to be that loved until you become a parent yourself. And especially if you have a child who's on the receiving end of this kind of treatment. There's a passion that sort of wells up inside you, and you wish that you could stand by your son or daughter's side all day and be there to protect them. You just hover over them and keep everybody away. But unfortunately, you can't do that. So you have to teach them to fend for themselves, if you will. And, you know, it's easy to be a parent if you don't care. If you didn't care, the kid could do whatever they wanted. You know, you just got to keep them alive until they're 18 and off they go. And I've seen so many instances of this, where you basically have 18, 19, 20-year-old children who